Is a Taliban takeover of Afghanistan now inevitable?
No, it is not. Because you have the Afghan troops have 300,000 well-equipped as any army in the world, and an air force against something like 75,000 Taliban. It is not inevitable.
Mr. President, thank you very much. Your own intelligence community has assessed that the Afghan government will likely collapse.
That is not true.
Can you please clarify what they have told you about whether that will happen or not?
That is not true. They did not reach that conclusion.
So what is the level of confidence that they have that it will not collapse?
The Afghan government and leadership has to come together. They clearly have the capacity to sustain the government in place.
And do you see any parallels between this withdrawal and what happened in Vietnam, with some people feeling...
None whatsoever. Zero. What you had entire brigades breaking through the gates of our embassy. 6, if I'm not mistaken.
And this is hard to watch.
The Taliban is not the North Vietnamese army.
Wow.
They're not remotely comparable in terms of capability. There's going to be no circumstance where you see people being lifted off the roof of a embassy of the United States from Afghanistan. It is not at all comparable. So the question now is, where do they go from here? That the jury is still out. But the likelihood there's going to be the Taliban overrunning everything and owning the whole country is highly unlikely.
Oh, Jesus, man. That's hard to watch. It's hard to watch, and you can't even claim Monday morning quarterback. That was back in July. You saw the date on there when he said he wanted to pull out of Afghanistan, and nothing about that sounded right. A to Jet Noise, by the way, A to Jet Noise, Facebook, YouTube, Rumble, and Parler. Sometimes when I don't forget. Yeah, please hit like, subscribe. Please comment. Give me your opinion. Yeah, you can challenge me. I'm fine with being challenged because I don't have to be right. I just have to start the conversation. Looking back at that, I was like, are we Monday morning quarterbacking? But we knew the situation. Because we even questioned it when Trump was saying he wanted out of Afghanistan. And I've been noticing that the fight from the left on pulling out of Afghanistan and how ridiculous this administration, this White House administration, this current White House administration looks right now. The left are arguing that Trump wanted out by May 1st. That's because they keep, they'll play that. But the problem with that argument is, one, you don't know what Trump's plan was to get out of there. And you can say, well, it would have just been the same outcome. No, you do not know that. And the irony is that when Biden went in, he spent the first 48 hours, 72 hours, what have you, just reversing everything that Trump did, right? He reversed everything that Trump did because it was supposedly bad. All right? That's basically what a lot of leftists wanted, right? You just wanted whatever Trump did, you just wanted it reversed. You wanted him out of office. Good or bad, it had to be bad because Trump did it. Right? So Biden reversed almost every single thing that Trump did, except for this pulling out of the supposed plan, pulling out of Afghanistan. Because right now, the whole defense that the White House has is, we were stuck with this. We were stuck with this from the with from the Biden administration. We were struck with this from the Biden administration. Pardon me. And that was the entire. That's their entire defense on this. And just looking back at some of the polls and stuff like that, at least the American people aren't falling for that. Now, there's politicians in positions, in higher positions, that are going to sell that all day long, but at least the American people aren't falling for that. This administration is going to have to take the responsibility, the sole responsibility for this one, right? Because you can't pass the buck. You can't blame the last administration on this one at all. This is your doing. This is your time. Here nor there. Apparently, the intelligence community. Did he get bad intelligence? That's what I should have asked. That's what I should have started with. Did Biden get bad intelligence? Because the story right now, if you look around, is it what's his name, Meany, General Meany or something along that lines? He's saying that they told him not to pull anyone out of Afghanistan. They told him not to do this, and they want me to believe that Biden just bypassed everybody. That he just was just like, nah, I'm going to ignore it. I think this is a good idea. They want me to believe that Biden did that. Right? This is the guy that, you picture him waiting for his pudding cup at, 10 a.m., at 2 p.m., his night pudding cup, and then his night pudding cup at 4:30, and then he's out. You want me to believe that Biden was the one that made this decision to just bypass it. And if he is the one that made this decision, he certainly doesn't understand that he was set up to get taken out of office, because this has been horrific. I don't know if you've seen any of the footage or anything like that. That's going on in Afghanistan. First of all, one of the first things that happened as soon as the United States started pulling out, as soon as our troops started pulling out, was that immediately they went house to house. The Taliban went house to house. They started taking girls, I don't know, as young as 11, 12 years old. This isn't new. This is what they've done. It's not a surprise. It's not a surprise that this happened. So they immediately start taking these girls as young as 11, 12 years old as their brides. As well as they take Afghan soldiers, people that aren't quite Muslim enough, and Christians, and what have you, and they take them out in the street and they just gun them down. They gun the men down. They take the women, they gun the men down. I'll spare you that video or images. If you want to see those, I will link those to my Facebook page. Quite frankly, I think I can do the same thing with my Rumble. I will link those, but I'll spare you from this little broadcast those particular images. But they're just guys laying in the street, really. With a bullet wound to the head. And, little motorcycles and scooters riding around them, people riding those scooters. And I guess, I don't know if they're trying to identify the guys or they just want to, hey, look, I want to see a dead body. So yeah, I'll spare you that in this broadcast, but I will link those images, that image, to Facebook and quite possibly Rumble and Parler. So that's happening. So girls are being taken because under the Taliban Sharia law, girls are property. Done and done. If you don't quite fit in with the Taliban, they have the option of, I don't know, converting you or killing you. You have that. And people recognize this. And these guys, the Afghan army who immediately disappeared, and you can hear story after story of our troops trying to train these guys, and it just didn't stick. The fight has to be born in the dog. That's that case. So instead, we get images like the one we saw all day yesterday, all over social media. Images of men fleeing the situation. It's heartbreaking. Let me share this video with you. It is in an Afghan airport of the U.S. troops. They're leading the way, or I should say, they're what they're doing is they're picking up. Pardon me. Picking up people, as many as 800 at a time, because that's how many fit on that C-17. So as many, and all they're doing is sitting on the floor. But you can see on the images people hanging on to the outside of the plane, and then you get this result. You get that result. Here's another angle. I'm assuming of the same person, just kind of falling. You can see the speck there. That's how high they are. And it's heart-wrenching to see this. And it's, how can you expect a bunch of guys dressed like B. Arthur from the Golden Girls to fight? I shouldn't say that because the Taliban dresses the same way, but these people are just not made. They've had generations of their neck being stepped on. And unless you are a Taliban, you're part of the Taliban, you don't have that fight in you. So again, the C-17, this is carrying up to 800 people, up to 800 people inside, and their desperation. There's more C-17s that are supposed to come and get you, but their desperation, they're just holding on to the outside, whatever they can hold on to, and in this case, whatever they held on to just wasn't enough. It is just devastating to what we've done. But it's not surprising. It's the United States. We mean well. But our politicians are horrific. We'll be glad to go in and rip apart your town. We'll even make an effort to fix your town up. Yes, we will. But when push comes to shove, we will indeed step aside. It's not our military. That's choices that that our politicians make. It's an image of the inside of one of those C-17s that's full to capacity. This, again, these hold roughly around 800 passengers, and of course, you can see here there's no seating chart or anything like that. It's just you get in, you sit down on the floor, and you're desperate. There's some women on here. That's good to see, because what I saw on the runway was just a bunch of men. And of course, still there's some women in here, but most of them are still men. Which of course takes you back to what happened to those girls. Yeah, it's roughly around 800 people sitting on the floor of C-17 fleeing Afghanistan right now. Just to recap, this administration is trying to blame the last administration. They can't really make that claim when they reversed everything, when they said everything was wrong about the last administration and reversed it, and then all of a sudden this is the one they kept. That somehow none of this, you can see how it turned out. Somehow this is what supposedly the Trump administration left behind and they thought was good. They were like, oh, this is great. This is a great exit plan. You can't make that claim. So, if anybody tries to bite back on you on this, he'd be like, you don't know what Trump's plan was. It never was revealed. You just can't do that. On top of that, everything was reversed except this. It doesn't fly. We've turned our back on Afghanistan. China is laughing at us. In fact, they've already said if they did this with Afghanistan, what makes anyone think that they're going to be able to defend Taiwan? Why not? Why not China make the move on Taiwan? We didn't help Hong Kong. As a country, we didn't help Hong Kong. We ignored it. We turned to the frickin' NBA to find out their opinion. The NBA. LeBron James. We wanted to know what LeBron James had to say about what's going on in Hong Kong. We're not in a good way right now. We are in a very, very bad way right now. And it just makes me think back at all those times that I would see all those interviews with those undecided voters on how they thought just Donald Trump was rude or I don't like his tweets. That was a real thing. And that's what took some people to the polls. We just signed a major hike, permanent hike on, or Biden just signed a major permanent hike on food stamps. Every day we have Dr. Fauci on telling us nonsense. I mean, what he's saying is just complete and utter garbage. Our border, our southern border, our northern border is protected and actually closed because of COVID. Our southern border, last month, roughly 5,000 illegal immigrants were released into the United States. 40% 40% of who were tested and found positive for COVID-19. And you wonder why numbers are going up? So roughly what, 2,000, 2,100 people released throughout the United States, Illinois, the New Yorks, the Floridas, Texas, California, LA, California. There's people spread out throughout the United States. People that aren't supposed to be here, that tested positive for COVID-19, and they're spread throughout the United States. And now we have this debacle in Afghanistan. Good heavens. What have we done? Seriously, I don't blame those that wanted Biden in office. I blame those that didn't quite understand what it meant to put Biden in office. If I knew this, and I took this sort of information to the polls, how come you didn't? It's just not enough anymore to ignore the signs. I don't want to think about politics. Look where we're at now. Our southern border, we can't find any way out of COVID-19. Jobs in Afghanistan. We're in a bad way. Anyway, thanks for joining me. Ada Jet Noise, ATA Jet Noise, Rumble, Facebook, YouTube, and Parler. Like I said, I will post the images, the video of the bodies in the street in Afghanistan. I will link that to this particular broadcast. It's heart-wrenching. It's a gut punch. It's heartbreaking. I wanted out of Afghanistan. We talked about this. We talked about this months ago. We want out of Afghanistan. We just got to make sure that we can. The other thing too is, how is it that you just get out of Afghanistan during the fighting season? There is literally a season, the winter, where the Taliban doesn't move very much, like not at all. They do not like fighting in the wintertime. That would have been a cushion. Here nor there. The debacle has been made. Pulled all those people out. Now we have more people. We had to send more people than even were there in the first place to try to help these people out. We're no good right now. Ada Jet Noise, thanks for joining me. See you again soon. Until then, big hug. Be good. Be still. Enjoy your life.